I didn't mind how we lived, and the fact that I was being uprooted and having to leave the land I loved, and the place I loved, and the people that I loved, even at a young age. I wasn't really comfortable with it. I wasn't happy about it, and so it was almost more out of anger than wanting to be successful for anything else. It was more, I was angry that I had to leave, and I was going to show Lebanon that because you kicked me
my
out,
village.
Lebanon and my village. I was going to come back and I was going to be successful.
طيب جيت على امريكا استاذ هلال، وصلت انت شاب عمره 10 سنين، فات على سكول، على المدرسه الهاي سكول او وبلشت يونيفرسيتي ورجعت على اللو سكول والمود. شو اللي خليك اول شيء تقول انا بدي خلص؟ يعني في كثير شباب كنا عم نحكي انا وياك انه في كثير شباب اخذوا الرونج واي، وهلا يمكن في منهم ماتوا die from drugs or accidents، ما عندهمش responsible. انت شو اللي خليك تقول انا بدي يصير خلص انا بدي وانا ميك ماي نيم؟ يعني مش بس انه انت جيت على امريكا، يعني في عندك مثل ما بيقولوا بلاك رود، في امرار بتيجي مسكره. شو طريقك لحتى صرت القاضي؟ الك يا بتطلع فيي او اذا بدك تطلع بكاميرتك؟
My success I owe to my mother and my father, and my mom and my mother, God rest her soul, and my father never went to school. They weren't educated, but they impressed on all of us, especially on me as being the youngest, that school was the only way that I can succeed. School, 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 always. And really, I came and I went to high school. I went to Fortson High School, which is a great high school, and graduates so many successful people. And originally I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a medical doctor. And really my father, since and I've always done good in school. I was always, even in Lebanon, I was a good student when I came. Even though I didn't know the language very well, I was still a very good student, always a good student.
بس أنا بدي عفوا أنا بس بدي أذكر إنه أنا عملت مع القاضي كان وقتها محامي، عملت معه مقابلة تقريبا من 4 سنين، إذا ما يمكن بعدني ذاكر، من 4 سنين، كان اسمه على الطبيعة، عندك بالآفيس، كان بعده محامي، وكنت كنت اطلع على الأستاذ هلال فرحات مش بس لأنه قاضي أو لأنه محامي. دائما لما نحن أو خاصة أنا إذا بدي استدعي أي شخص يكون جيست عندي بالبرنامج، إذا ما كان عنده good history أنا ما بستدعيه، حتى لو كان ساكسوفون، وحتى لو كان ملياردير، لأنه في باك جراوند، في ريزومي، في واي، ما بقدر. فكنت دائما نشوف في الشخص الناجح اللي نحن بنتعلم منه، مش بس للبوزيشن أو للتايتل، إنما كمان سيرته، سيرة حياته، سيرة عمله كتير كلين وكتير نظيفة وكتير سمعة طيبة. فأنا قلت لا، كمان حيكون ضيفي القاضي هالمرة، مش المحامي، القاضي هلال فرحات. سوري على
no problem.
Because I got you.
So as I was saying, my parents impressed on me they wanted me to be a doctor, and to a certain extent, my father probably is still disappointed in me because I never became a doctor like he wanted. But throughout into high school, and then I graduated high school, I did fairly well in high school. I went to Wayne State University, and I began the first couple of years to go to med school. I was taking medical, pre-med classes, and my intention was to go into the medical field.
خلص عملت كل شيء لأنك تفوت على
to be a doctor.
Doctor.
And I'm going to say something not too many people know about me. And I say it because there's probably a lot of people who are watching who have done things that are wrong in their lives. And we were talking about Abbas, you and I, about people that go the wrong way and paths in life. And everybody in life comes to a path. And you can go this way, you can go this way, you can go different ways in life. And where that path takes you, you choose. You make that decision. And I was, what happened with me is I was at a restaurant in Dearborn. And I was with some friends who some were of Lebanese, some were Iraqi, some were Indian, some were Pakistani, and so different languages were being spoken. Different,
هيدي back
when I was in second year of college. And we were in a restaurant here in Dearborn, and we had just come back from, I remember it was Wednesday, the last Wednesday in June of that year, and the fireworks, the Detroit fireworks, we were there watching them. We came back, we were all tired. We were sitting having a meal. It was late at night, and a Dearborn police officer, Officer McDonnell is his name. He came up to us and he started yelling at us, and we weren't doing anything. We were just, kids. We were young men, just talking amongst each other. But again, there was different languages, and loud. The nature of who we are and what we were just loud, but we weren't bothering anybody. And he came in, he yelled at us. I said, "Why are you yelling at us? We're not doing anything." مش عم نعمل شيء، عم نحكي بين بعض. سحبني، مش قال لي اطلع، كحشني من المطعم.
انت طلع لبرا.
طلع لبرا. ولما when I was leaving outside, I remember there was a vestibule, 2 doors to the restaurant, and the back doors. He pushed me out, and he yelled at me, he embarrassed me, and you had to be there in that moment to be in America, to be in Dearborn, to be a young man, and to have a police officer or somebody push you around like that, and the way he treated me. And it was at that moment I said to myself, I'll never let anybody treat me that way again. And from that moment I decided I wanted to be a lawyer, and I changed my whole life, and I changed my whole career, and I went to law school because of that moment.
يعني بهيدي اللحظة خلص هي اللي عطتك
It wasn't specifically, but afterward, just looking back at it.
But you still انت يعني بوقتك انت هلال كنت بعدك صغير انه اوكي صغير انا عيط علي.
Second year of, I'm telling you, second year of college. I was 19, 20 years old at the time. Again, my first 2 years of school was completely med school and ready to go to med school, and then that incident took place. And I said, the way it made me feel, how helpless I was, and how this, being in America and what I had saw in America, and especially it was, again, the 4th of July fireworks and freedom, and the moment, it just all played together.
Everything's in your head.
It all played together for me at that moment. And after that, I said, I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want to be a pharmacist, I don't want to be a dentist, with all due respect to everybody in the medical field. I'm never going to let that happen to me again. I'm going to be a lawyer. To be a lawyer.
بلشنا بالمدرسة
اللوير. I decided I wanted to go to law school. I changed my career, I changed my path, and I graduated, of course.
لا بدك تخبرنا، اوكي استاذ هلال، بدك تخبرنا انت بخلال هيدي المسيرة، بخلال هذا التايم انه انت you moving forward، هون شو صار معك؟ شو اللي واجهته؟ ما عندك مثلا مصاري تدفع على الكوليج؟ تعذبت؟ اشتغلت؟ شو اشتغلت؟ شو عملت؟
Since from the day I landed in America up until today, I've never not had a job, Abbas. I did everything that a young man can ever do. I passed newspapers back then. I know there's a lot of young people here who don't remember, but we used to go pass out newspapers. I worked as a waiter, I worked as a bus boy, I worked certainly later on my oldest brothers, who I owe a lot of my success to, because they were supportive financially. They came before us. My 2 oldest brothers came to America in 79 and in 80. And they established themselves by the time I got to college. And so yes, they owned gas stations and things like that. So they began to help me financially, and that allowed me to go to law school. Although I worked at their gas stations. I worked day shifts, night shifts.
لا ما أنا ليش عم بقول لك هيك؟
I worked, I worked just like everybody else.
في كتير young new generation بيستحوا انه انا بدي اشتغل هيك، ما انا عم بتعلم. ليش انا عم بقول لك انه
I'm telling you, I worked night shifts, I worked midnight shifts, I worked the afternoons, I worked on the weekends, I worked anything that you know, that I could work, and I drove. I remember for a whole summer I used to test drive the Ford Explorers. Not test. My job was just to drive them. Drive them. We would drive them for like 150 miles a day, you know, up north and come back, and just because they were testing the, you know, the mechanics on the vehicles and diagnostics and things like that. So I had all kinds. Even when I was in college, I always worked. When I got to law school, the first year of law school, they tell you can't work. It's too difficult for you to be able to work and keep up with the demands of first year of law school. So that's probably the only time from when I landed in America till now that I didn't work, was just that initial first year. And thereafter, you know, I've always had a job. So I graduated Wayne State undergrad. I went to Wayne State Law School, and I was blessed. Again, I did pretty well on my entrance exams. It's called the LSAT, and I had the choice. I could have went to different. I got into Washington University in Washington D.C. And to New York Law School.
But you choose here.
But I wanted to stay close.
Wayne.
Yeah, it's just your family structure and how I was raised, and I wanted to stay close to my house, to my home, and to my family, and those and my community. Certainly, you know, I loved being here. Kind of like, you know, Dearborn to me became what Rashid was to me. That when I was a 10-year-old and I got on that plane, I didn't want to leave. You know, and that's why I'm still here, and I love this community, and you know, I've worked so hard.
بهيدي المرحلة، مرحلة الكولج، نعرف في مرحلة الكولج جورج بتشوف bad things
Definitely
happen to you or happen with you or next
you know,
to you.
I was a typical young adult. I certainly faced a lot of options and a lot of choices in life. You know, whether it was partying or drugs or you know, those decisions that every young man and every young woman may have to make here and everywhere else, whether in Lebanon or all over the world. And you face those challenges and you face the decisions. But what got me through them, my thoughts and my beliefs, and it was always that young man that stood on the door of that plane and said, I'm going to be successful. And so I chose never to allow anything to come in the way of my success, and the way of my path, and the way of me getting to where I ultimately want to be.
شو بتقول لهودي الناس الشباب يلي عم يسمعك هلا، او بعض الناس اللي عم تسمعك اللي هن فعلا امرار بيكونوا يعني عندهم way to يعني to run for success, then بيتعرضوا للارا issues. شو بتقول لهم انت، وخاصه انك انت قاضي، يعني قاضي families، يعني بتشوف لارا stories، لارا
there's a lot
cases.
A lot of happy stories, Abbas, and there's a lot of sad stories, and those stories are created by us. We make our own stories. We make our own what we want to be in life, and how we want to be, and where we want to be, and where we want to go is in us. It is not. It's not written in our stars. It is not, you know, your destiny or anything like that. You have to work, and people make mistakes. Every young man and woman, nobody ما حدا معصوم بالحياة. Everybody makes mistakes, but always know that even if you make mistakes, those mistakes can always be corrected. You can always change paths. You can always become better than who you are, better than where you are. If you say to yourself that, hey, I want to get to this point, I want to get to be anything that you want to be, I promise you, and there's absolutely nothing that can stop you if you make that decision.
طيب هلا وصلت انت للنقطة اللي انت بدك اياها، يعني وصلت انا اوكي، انا تعبت، اشتغلت، تعذبت، تزوجت، صار عندي اولاد، وصلت انا لمرحلة انا بدي التايتل، يعني التايتل اللي انا بحلم فيه. كنت بتحلم انك انت تقدم تصير قاضي، ولا بس كان عندك التارجت it's only be a lawyer؟
You know, you can't, sometimes people, Abbas, dream too big, and you can't do that. And I was never like that. My dream when I was in law school was to be a very good lawyer, to give back to the community, to be known, to be recognized. And I got there. I like to think that I helped a lot of people, and I did what I can both for my community and for my clients. And then once you get there, what is your next target? And my next target was to be a magistrate. And my law partner at the time was Judge Salemi. Him and I were partners, and he had stepped down as a magistrate. And when he did that, I said to myself, this is my next target. This is where I want to be. And I worked, and you build relationships, and you build contacts and ties, and people recognize what you do, and I was able to get there. And once I became a magistrate, and I was comfortable, and I did what I had to do, and my next goal was, I said to myself, hey, I want to be a judge someday. And again, you work hard, you build the relationships, you do what you need to do, you provide the services to people. And when you are good to people, people are going to be good to you.
Your point, don't dream that big. Dream.
It's
step
okay.
By step,
Yeah, step
dream
by step.
dream.
It's okay to dream big.
Yeah.
Every lawyer, when they get into law school, or when they put their hand and they swear to be lawyers, ultimately want to be judges. That's not. It wasn't just me. Everybody wants to be judge. But again, you have to say, what are the steps? What is the path to get there? You can't just say, I want to be a judge, without really having an accurate path or a good road, knowing what your road is to get to where you want to be. And I did. I knew what the step here, the next step, what the next step would be, and then ultimately I got to where I am. And just becoming a judge, it's a great thing. I'm honored for it. But is there a next and an after? Probably.
هلا نحن مثل ما قلنا، نحن هذا البرنامج منه حواري ولا انه سياسي. تقريبا حضرة القاضي نحن كان اسمه البرنامج هاف اور بالسكساس، بس لما انه نحن خلص تقريبا بعدنا، بس خلصت الساعه اسم الله بسرعه. بس هلا انت بتوقف امرار. انت قلت انا وقفت بمطار بيروت وطلعت هيك صوب لبنان وقلت I'm never go back till when I success. هلا انت you are a success. You stand here in the airport and look back to Lebanon. One day you want to go there?
Obviously, I've been back, and Lebanon, like a lot of us, it's in our heart, it's in our soul. It helped make us who we are. There's no question about it. I can't be who I am or what I am or how I see the world without having that background in Lebanon and growing up in Lebanon and what I saw and what I felt and what I heard and what I experienced in Lebanon. Do I ever want to go back and live there?
مش تلف خليني مثلا إذا أنت جاي عبالك تعمل نائب أو وزير، مثلا سموا هلال فرحات وزير بلبنان، وزير عدل، وزير شيء بلبنان، كون إنه أنت عندك good resume هون و good name. اجوا قالوا مثلا بدهم يشكلوا حكومة، قالوا بدنا نجيب هلال فرحات من أمريكا أو نعملوا نائب. بتصير صارت ولا ما صارت قبل؟ صارت قبل. وخاصة بدنا وجه تحية للنائب علي بزي، كان استاذ مدرسي هون وصار نائب بلبنان. وكمان في يمكن كانوا عم يحكوا انه القاضي سالم سلامي، بدنا نوجه له تحية. حكي ما عم بقول اكدت. اذا اجوا قالوا بلبنان والله في عنا قاضي ناجح بمدينة ديربون بالكوميونتي ممكن يكون وزير بلبنان او نائب، ترجع تعمل سكسس تحت؟
Unfortunately, no. I have no. The short answer is no for a myriad of reasons, but the way the world is and the way the politics of Lebanon is, I don't think it's for me. I thank you but no thank you.
ما بدي
No,
ما بدي.
no, no, not at
طيب
all.
طب انت قلت انه حترجع. One day you're gonna be back to Lebanon.
I would like to someday go back and hopefully retire back home.
طيب على كل نحن بنتشكرك استاذ هلال جادج هلال فرحات على كل هيدي المسيرة الحلوة اللي انت من خلالها نحن بنعمل يعني بنعطي ايديا بنعطي شيء للشباب يتعلموا منه، انه هذا الانسان اجى مثل ما انت قلت، هذا الشخص اجى بلبنان، اجى من لبنان صغير، اهله ما كانوا حتى بيحكوا انجليزي، ما معه يمكن الامكانيات يتعلم بالكوليج، واشتغل وتعب بكل المجالات تيقدر يوقف على اجريه ويصير سعاده او سياده القاضي هلال فرحات. مش بس هلال فرحات، كلمه اخيره للناس اللي عم يحضرونا والناس اللي انت بتتمنى لهم، كمان الشباب اللي عم يتقدموا على النجاحات. شفنا يمكن باخر نجاح عبد الله حمود وغيره، يمكن كمان حيكون معنا ضيف. انت شو بتشوف وشو بتقول لهم للشباب؟
الجالية هون we have so many stories, so much success, so many potential, so much to be proud of, and that success I know will continue. But for anybody and everybody, if you hope, if you dream, if you want to get somewhere in life, you just need to say, I want to get there. And you need to find your path, and you need to work hard, and you need to strive, and nothing is out of reach, because the person that's sitting here, I came, again, I didn't speak English, I worked hard, I wouldn't have imagined
هلا you don't
as a
speak
child.
Arabic.
I wouldn't have imagined that I would get here, but I'm here. So dreams do come true.
شكرا لك سعادة
Thank you.
القاضي على كل اللي انت تفضلت فيه، ونحن بننبسط فيك ونفتخر ان كان على صعيد لبنان، على صعيد ضيعتك برعشيت، او على صعيد الجالية اللي نحن انا وكل ابناء الجالية بنفتخر وبنرفع راسنا بكل ناجح بالجالية. تحية لك وشكرا لك. شكرا لكم اعزائنا المشاهدين. هذا البرنامج مثل ما انا قلت هو بيضوي على نوعية أبناء الجالية. يمكن عنا 12 حلقة، ولكن بعرف أنه في عنا مئات الناجحين. يمكن عنا بالجالية في كتير أمور سلبية، ولكن نحن دايما بننظر إلى الإيجابية يلي هي فعلا أكثر. في عنا دكاترة، في عنا محاميين، في عنا قضاة، في عنا رجال أعمال، في عنا شباب كل يعني كلنا بنفتخر فيهم، كلنا بننبسط فيهم. وإن شاء الله نكون نحن قدرنا قدمنا من خلال أول حلقة مع حضرة القاضي فكرة لكل هؤلاء الشباب يلي فعلا نحن بحاجة مش بس توعيتهم ومش بس إنه برامج، لا كمان نوقف حدهم وندلهم على الطريق الصح، لأنه نجاحهم هو نجاحنا لنا. وحتى لو ما كنت أنا قاضي، حتى لو ما كنت أنا دكتور، حتى لو ما كنت أنا مهندس، ولكن لما بشوف حضرة القاضي هذا الشخص الإنسان اللي نجح، أنا كمان بنبسط معه وبقول أنا كمان قاضي، لاني انا بتبع هيدي الناس الناجحه صراحه. شكرا. بدي ارجع اقول خاصه السبونسر، لانه لو ما هون كمان يمكن هذا البرنامج ما كان بيكون بهذه الطريقه. هنرجع بس ذكر فيهم لانه عزيزين على قلبي واصدقاء. بدي اتشكر علي شراره تيم، بيج راي اول تشينج عبد ايوب، ديزرت ان الاسكا مارك نمر، طب مورجج كمباني اليكس دهينه، مارتن سنايدر كمباني جورج دازا، ادفانس دنتال كلينيك الدكتور علي صبح، اي اند اتش هيتنج اند كولينج الاستاذ عرفات هاشم، لايف ميديكال سنتر دكتور مايك ديراني، سام روفينج السيد حسن سعد، وهاوس اوف امبر السيد احمد مرتضى. وبدي اذكركم انه هيدي الحلقه كانت برعايه الطيب، وما بعرف امتى بروح انا والقاضي وبناكل عند الطيب. نحن معزومين عند الطيب على فكره، بس انت تكون فاضي. بس تكون فاضي كمان، لانه صراحه حتى صاحب المطعم قال لي نحن لنا الشرف سعاده القاضي يشرفنا على المطعم، فوقت اللي بدك نحن جاهزين. شكرا لكم، وكل اللي عملوا اكيد شير ومنشن ولايك لهيدي الحلقه. ان شاء الله بتسجل اسمكم من خلال هالجمعه. جمعة الجاي مع ضيفنا اللي هو نمبر 1 ريل استيت علي شرارة. إن شاء الله حيكون معنا جمعة الجاي بنفس توقيت اليوم الساعة 8، وبنسحب رابح عن حلقة القاضي هلال فرحات. شكرا لك، يعطيكم العافية.